Hey everyone, John Comp, Northwoods Whitetails Food Plot Seed. We're going to talk about our 3-strip planting system today. We're on a food plot in Upper Michigan, just under 4 acres. And we want to talk about what we do with this strip planting we do. First and foremost, you can see this food plot's entirely surrounded by our food plot screen. And what's important about that food plot screen is there's no food in it. I don't want the deer eating on that screen. On the back side you can see it's open. There's about 10 acres back here of old field that's just been sitting for, gosh, I want to say the last 10 to 15 years. I don't want deer over there. Okay, that's where our access is. We've got an access point here. We've got 2 access points over here. We've got a stand in that pine tree there. We've got another stand down there, and that's where all our access is. We don't want the deer in or on the back side of that screen. I want to know this is a secure food plot, secure nighttime feeding area. This is where we want the deer to concentrate every night. Now, currently I'm standing in what's called fall forage. This is rye, oat, peas, wheat, and you can look down. This is only 10 days old. We've got peas, oats, rye, our cereal grains. We've got a lot of red clover in here. We've got a lot of radishes in here. We've got, right there, that's hairy vetch. Now, the red clover and the hairy vetch aren't really going to amount to much this year. Today's the 7th of August. And the reason the hairy vetch and the red clover are in there, and we're planting that now, is that's going to come back next year. And that's going to feed the deer in the spring and in the summer. The rye is going to come back. That's going to suppress all the weeds. And it's going to produce organic matter and a lot of nitrogen for the Brassica planting next year that's going to be here. This was Brassica last year at this time. This was our Brassica strip. And what we did this spring, as most know, that when you try to, Brassica comes through the winter, it winter kills. There's nothing growing. It might sprout here or there, but you're not going to get anything that the deer are interested in eating. So what we did is we came in and we drilled oats, forage peas, I think some sorghum, some of our soil builder we put in here, because up on this, you can see how the topography, it drops down. This is a sand knob right here. But we planted a spring planting of oats and forage peas, berseem clover, it's an annual clover, our soil builder mix, and we're just trying to build the organic matter percentage in this particular food plot, and we are doing it. We do soil tests every year, and we are building organic matter. Now, if we did the no-till system, we would probably be building it quicker, but we are building it about 0.2, 0.3% every year. So now you move over here. This is a 4-week-old planting of our Sweet Feast Brassica mix. We had tractor problems this year, so we weren't able to get in. Usually we like to plant up here about the 20th of July. We didn't get to plant till about the 5th or 6th of August, so this is running behind, but it's looking pretty good. Even though I've been doing brassicas for many years, 10 years, I still overseed it, and you could see it's planted a little thick. But anyway, so what we did here, this fall forage was here last year. So this spring, the red clover was growing back, the rye was growing back, and the hairy vetch was coming back. And we let the rye get, 5 feet tall, and before it made a viable seed, we set the mower on our brush hog as high as we could safely, and we came through here and we clipped the top of the rye. And we had a 4-wheeler go in front of us to check for fawns, because this strip holds a lot of fawns in the spring, because there's A, good food out here, and B, that rye makes really good bedding. And so now we've got the clover coming from early July up until late July, early August, when we decide we're going to plant the brassicas. So we do a soil test right before we plant our brassicas, tells us what we need. So we spread our fertilizer, 1 pass with the tiller, and then we planted our brassica mix. And that was, I believe, August 5th or 6th this year. Again, we were about 2 or 3 weeks behind, and it's showing on the brassicas. So now, this is our brassica strip for this year. Next year, where you see this will be here. We just keep flip-flopping it, okay? So So that's what we do. Now the third strip in our 3-strip system, I got a little bit of a grass issue right here, but we've got our clover chicory mix all along the wood line right here. And this is a great spot for mock scrapes. And it's usually the first thing. What we want that to do is the deer step out of this bedding area all along here. And that's the first thing we want them eating. We want them to spend a few minutes eating there so they don't come out here and decimate this food plot. So that's our 3-strip system. 1, 2, 3. Now, if you're in high egg area where there's a lot of food for the deer in the summer, we probably don't need a lot of clover in here. The red clover serves 2 purposes: deer food and soil food. So that's how we do this. This is, I think, our 5th year in this food plot. 4th, I can't remember, but it's been this to this, this to this, flip-flop every year. And we're building soil organic matter. Yes, we are using a tiller, but we do 1 pass every year. We are building we are building organic matter percentage. We test every year, so we're monitoring that. We do use synthetic fertilizer inputs, so we do have to use lime. I would love to get this into a no-till system. We do not use any Roundup out here. We don't need to. You can see the rye and the red clover, the brassicas do a very good job of weed control. There's a little bit of broadleaf here and there. Now, one of the things that we had a problem with this year is we had an extremely wet, cold spring, wet summer up until July, and you can see where the hill kind of tapers down, and that was all underwater most of the summer. So we had a lot of weeds. It killed our clover, killed our rye, and we're having some growth issues down on that end. So what we're going to probably do into the brassicas is just overseed rye and oats, and maybe like a purple top turnip, which is a really fast growing turnip. When we plant is July 20th is our plant date up here in Upper Michigan. Purple top turnips kind of grow too fast, so I use those as a recovery or fill in bare spots. Now, one thing, you look at this strip just inside our soil builder, is our food plot screen. This is our soil builder mix. A lot of buckwheat, a lot of radishes, forage peas, crimson clover, rye. And basically what this strip is, this is where our food plot screen was last year. So we moved it over, and then we're giving this a break. We're planting a lot of nitrogen fixing plants, a lot of soil building material, and it's doing extremely well. So I don't like planting the food plot screen 2 years in a row. That's just us. That's what I like to do if you've got the room. Now, this food plot screen is only, I believe, 12 feet wide. It's 2 passes with the tiller. So what we'll do is rotate it if we can. Now let's say this was the only size of the food plot we had. If we had just this width, I would still sacrifice this to move the soil builder back and forth, because I would still use this flip-flop to move the food plot screen over and use the soil builder. That's just our opinion. If you want to keep planting it year in, year out, we've been doing that on a couple of spots, and we're still getting 8 to 10 feet. Now, this is probably the worst case scenario this year. We couldn't get this. Usually we're planting early June. We didn't get this until I think the 25th of June, and it's already cold here at nights in Upper Michigan. We're 45 minutes north of Green Bay, Wisconsin, and we're getting mid-40s at night already. So this stuff is really slowing down. You can see down in the south end of the food plot, it's only about 6 feet tall. It's about 9 feet tall here. But considering this planting season we had, this is actually doing fairly well. So this is the highest spot in the food plot here, and you're still fairly hidden. I think the deer still feel secure. We come out here and work to do some stuff on the food plot, maintain stands and stuff. And you can see deer out here 3 hours before dark. But that's, we've taken that effect of a 10-acre field and turned it into, just under 4. So, yeah, the reason I'm not talking very loud in this video is because we've got deer bedded right back in here. So, but this is our 3-strip system and explained. This is what we love to do with bigger food plots. I could imagine doing this on maybe 1/3 of an acre and a couple of real thin strips, but you know, basically we've created the local buffet for these deer. There's, you know, probably 12 to 15 different varieties of food out here. You know, well-maintained soil, the food's gonna taste good. We're still working on pH. I think when we started, this stuff was in the 5.4, 5.3 range, and we got it up to about 5.7 to 6. So we're working on it, and it shows. So